want to welcome you to the July 14th, 2021 regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Chandler Unified School District. Mrs. Nye, could you do our roll call, please? Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Thank you. And would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We'll start off with some of our routine business. Our first is to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2021 regular board meeting as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Next, we need to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I make a motion to, my screen went off, to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Mr. Narducci, is there any correspondence?
Madam President, there is no correspondence at this time.
Thank you. So we will move on to our citizen comments. I have 8 requested speakers tonight, so you will have 3 minutes to speak. So our first person up is Mr. Kurt Roars. And yes, it's that side for the, yes, you're right.
Thank you. The following is a response by Interim Superintendent Frank Narducci to a concerned parent regarding the inquiry on how CUSD will implement policy changes to become compliant with new Arizona law that prohibits the presentation of CRT-type doctrine in Arizona schools. Quoting, "We make staff aware of the legislative changes, but the approved legislation is then vetted and goes through policy review, then is provided to local school districts through the Arizona School Boards Association to review. From there, we will make recommendations based on that policy to our governing board. All school districts are in the same process and hope to have policy communicated by the ASB soon." I would like to make some comments on this statement. There is no vetting of Arizona statutes. The district either follows a law or it does not. If they choose not to, then they are subject to fines and other civil actions defined by the new law. Defiant teachers may lose their state certifications as well. The ASBA is a private organization that has no regulatory authority. They cannot circumvent Arizona law with crafty policy recommendations. Neither can the local teachers union, the CEA, which is an affiliate of the NEA. The NEA recently announced aggressive support for CRT teaching in schools. The ASBA has been compromised to become just another radical left political organization. They're exceedingly biased and actively promote racist CRT-type doctrine. They are unsuitable for making any objective policy recommendations. Please remember that it was the ASBA that promoted the disastrous deep equity training to the district that caused embarrassment in front of the entire nation. We think that the district would have learned their lesson from this debacle. The ASBA is also leading the executive search for a new superintendent for CUSD. They are wholly unsuited for this purpose as well due to their heavy political activism. The district must disengage with them immediately on this executive search. We certainly don't want some ultra-woke social justice warrior to run this district. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamie Smith.
I guess the microphone's not on.
If you talk close to the microphone, we've been having a little bit of trouble with that one, but you do have to speak kind of close to it.
I don't think, there it goes.
Yeah, it's
okay.
working.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a mother of 2 here in the district, and I am here to talk about CRT again. So CUSD has an equity and inclusion department. Deep equity education is on tonight's agenda, and you can now find equity posters lining the hallways of Castile High School. And some of the CUS teachers have signed a petition stating that regardless of legislation, they're going to move forward and teach CRT. So you can actually no longer sit here and tell us that CRT doesn't exist in this district, because it's absolutely everywhere. If you desire to expose kids to unmeasurable subjective teachings, then can you please offer that outside of school? My son wanted to choose an elective in high school of personal finance, but he has to join a club to figure out a curriculum, a teaching to help him progress in life, but yet we somehow have time in our curriculum right now to put forward CRT. That seems a little backwards to me. So please do not divert attention from core subjects, because it will make it difficult to achieve the Journey 2025 goal of increasing academic performance on standardized tests. CRT will take time away from core class and fill that space teaching my kids that they are white oppressors, and conversely, that students of color are inherently at a disadvantage because of the color of their skin. Why can't we create an environment that teaches our kids to shoot for the stars? I'd rather create a positive, conducive environment where we can collaborate together and stop this divide. So I please ask of you, as board members, please course correct and abolish this divisive Marxist curriculum in our district. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is Jeremy Wilson.
Hi, how are you guys tonight? My name is Jeremy, and in case you didn't know, we've figured out the game. Whenever the parents figure out the propaganda that is being pushed in these schools, you guys change the wording. First it was CRT, then it changed to equity, and now the social emotional learning that just got passed right after he banned the CRT curriculum. This quote comes directly from the Cassell website regarding the social emotional learning, which says, "Inequities based on race, ethnicity, class, language, gender identity, sexual orientation, and other factors are deeply ingrained in the vast majority of these systems and impact young people in adult social, emotional, and academic learning." Tell me, how is this not the same thing? There's not a single positive thing that can come from this. It's the same old white privilege and white guilt for the white students, and the feeling the world is up against you no matter how hard you try for the rest. We're not going to stop this fight. It's not fair to the children. They need to know that no matter the color of their skin, that there's going to be someone there to support them. Not that they're victims, not that everyone is against them. When I served in the military, I was in an elite special operations unit. In my selection course, there is people of all ethnicities. Not once did any of us look at anyone else different. All that matters is who was pulling their weight. You teach these kids that they can achieve anything they want as long as they work hard for it, and not that some are advantaged and some are disadvantaged. Because all that matters is what is in your heart and how hard you work to get to where you want to be.
Thank you. Our next is Nicole, is it Eidson? Eidson, thank you.
Hello? Hello? Okay. So I'm fairly new to CUSD and the school agenda, what was being pushed. I am an average parent that really was putting my kids' education in your hands and not understanding what you guys were teaching, what curriculum you were pushing. When I started to dig in and started to learn what CRT was, and I even just went on your webpage, and I went and I looked through the diversity and inclusion and useful links, and on your webpage you have a link that says nice white parents, And if you follow that link, it's a link that says white parents are ultimately the problem with today's schools. What message are you giving people? What message are you telling the kids? My 10-year-old kid, he's scared. He hasn't done anything. He's a smart, sweet boy who's nice to everybody, but he's scared for no reason. You guys have done this. You guys have brought this in. You need to stop. You need to stop this now. We should be going for equal opportunity, not equal outcome. Equal opportunity, not equal outcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Mehring.
Good evening, board members, directors, and superintendents, and citizens. You know, I was thinking about what I was going to share with you as we raised 2 grandkids because both parents have a drug addiction with heroin. We don't have them now, but they were in high school at Perry. The COVID came along, and they went to live with their dad. He fell off. They're with the aunt now. But raising them in the Chandler School District was quite good in the past years. They went to Bologna, Willis, and Perry. And also, I have volunteered work with the Boys and Girls Club. I've coached there. Everyone, different demographics, ethnicities, no one cared. The kids didn't care. They had fun. They have more sense than adults do when it comes down to it. I coached with a veteran like this gentleman, who was of African descent. And he went on to take kids into the league and further along. And my thoughts are really that every one of you and your kids have intrinsic value and worth and dignity. And we know there's wrongs of the past, but 2 wrongs don't make a right. As Dr. King said, he just wanted equality for all Americans. So we're at this tipping point, we're at this crossroad where there's this division. And teaching kids that one is better than the other and all that is not going to help. So I hope you all will get on board with us, because everyone, as the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Heap.
Madam President, CUSD board members, Mr. Narducci, good evening. This is the first board meeting we've had since the recent legislation that was signed by Governor Ducey that is now ARS 15-71702. Probably should come up with an easier way to refer to it. I'm grateful for our legislators. I, like many of the parents who have spoken this evening, have deep concerns about CRT and what it can do to our community, what it can do to our nation. Not because I'm white or I'm racist, just because I very much share the sentiments that we all have intrinsic value and that we're all meant to do great things and really we can help one another. You know, I don't know what extent this board relies on the ASBA to interpret statutes, help create and implement policy within the district, but you did ratify a budget to participate in it, so you do participate. I went on their website and there was 2 stipulations after they went down and bulleted all of the items that are in the new legislation. 2 points that caught my eye were, 1, it says the law does not prohibit the exploration of historical events from various perspectives or examination of differing opinions with the context of academic instruction. Number 2, it said, likewise, the law does not prohibit continuing to use an equity lens to improve student success. So why would an ASBA throw in those 2 points unless they were also interested in finding loopholes to exploit to continue to champion CRT and its elements? You know, this board maintains that CRT is not being taught, but we've had lots of examples of where that just doesn't, it's not true. You know that you rely on the ASBA, you have an affiliation with them. You know that you rely on teachers from the AEA, and they're an affiliate of the NEA, and you know the NEA very much is pushing this. and you have an equity committee. So that's why I and many parents who come here, we do not trust you when you say that. We simply want to have that trust restored, and your ability to make policies to enforce that legislation that was recently passed will help to restore that trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Murphy? Stephanie Murphy?
Hi.
Hi.
Just want to make sure I can. Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, great. I want to start off by thanking the countless teachers who educate and care for our children in a safe, non-biased, non-political, non-social agenda setting. We parents see you and appreciate all that you do for our kids. We're thankful for the endless hours of preparation for you and for you caring enough for our kids that you ensure that your personal, political, religious, and social issue beliefs are kept out of our children's educational environment. We know through personal, off-site, and off-contract time conversations with you that many of you are also frustrated with this school board for their forcing of these Marxist and socialist ideals like equity. We understand the fear that you have about speaking out for fear of losing your job and or retribution. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We support and care about you. You're seen and you are the reason that CUSD has any kids left. We also want to send out thanks to MCSO for having a Chandler PD officer reach out to me today regarding my concerns at this meeting. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert, for allowing people to wait in the lobby instead of outside like neglected dogs. To the CUSD school board, we see what you're doing and you're not fooling anyone. You are clearly pushing your Marxist ideologies onto your staff and onto our students. The CUSD teachers are being trained in equity, and we're told via email yesterday that all teachers must display district-provided equity posters in their classrooms. These Marxist ideologies have no place in any classroom. Let me explain it clearly. If you wrap a piece of trash in green wrapping paper and call it a birthday present, it's still trash. If you wrap that piece of garbage in a gift bag and call it a housewarming gift, it's still trash. No matter what you label these Marxist ideals, they still come from the same poison tree and are garbage. We're not falling for it, and we won't be silenced about speaking out against equity. Equality is what our country is founded on. It's equal rights and opportunities for everyone, like MLK dreamed of. Equity is a Marxist ideology that demands that groups, not individuals, get comparable outcomes. It means that you have to hold people back, and that's not right, no matter what their race, creed, or religion. The email sent out to by the district yesterday also said that there were mandatory posters in every classroom, but also summer reading ideas, staff spotlights, and equitable moments to be shared on campus. Seconds. This district cannot continue to lie to the public. Teachers should not be displaying information that shares their personal, political, religious, or social issue beliefs. If you don't want a teacher having, Jesus is the Lord and Savior on their wall, then you shouldn't have gay pride or anything else in there. Classrooms need to be a non-biased, safe place for all children where everybody can reach their individual potential. Stop doing what you're doing and do an about face. We need your trust.
Time has expired. Thank you. Ann Adams.
Hi. I'm a little taller. Okay. My name is Ann Adams.
You'll need to move it up even a little closer. Maybe just move the arm. You're tall. Or take it out.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think so.
All right. I'm a mother of 2 teenagers at Hamilton High School, and I just want to address the school board members as such. Lindsay Love, I saw a post from you recently where you felt really threatened by parents as if it's an insurrection, and I want you to know that I've never seen any violence among any of the parents that have come to any of these meetings. They might get angry, they might not totally agree with all of you, but we haven't been violent, so I don't know the reason for that fear, but I feel bad that you feel that way. I don't always agree with all of you. I have totally different beliefs than some of you. And I'm sure that some of you feel real good about CRT and equity training, and you feel like it's the right thing to do. But I don't get to bring this into the classroom. A Muslim doesn't get to bring their book into the classroom. And, various other faiths don't get to do the same. So even if you feel that your ideology is the right thing to do, it's not the right thing for all parents, because we do have the Parent Bill of Rights and we do have the United States Constitution on our side. I am sure there's very many well-intentioned people that believe differently than me, but we don't get to do this in our public schools. You took an oath of office, which I copied, and I read through it today. And basically, it says that you're going to uphold the Constitution and you're going to uphold our state laws. And if you don't, it could be a felony. You could have ramifications behind that. I have been very concerned about this, and I've been working with numerous parents. I know that you've already been served a notice, and I know enough about this legal part of this to be dangerous, but I am learning. And we are all getting together to file affidavits and have them mailed to all of you. And what this means is there's already teeth in the Arizona law. So when you have these willy-nilly teachers saying, I'm going to do it anyway because I feel good about it, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you through the state law, $5,000 per incident, but with our affidavit, per incident, per child in the classroom, it's $30,000 a piece. That's a lot of money. So if we can prove you're breaking the law, and you've received this notice and you've received these affidavits and you're about ready to receive a lot more, because I know there's a lot of other parents that want to line up to send these affidavits off to you. There's a lot of children that want to be able to have proof brought home to their parents to prove that you're breaking the law. So unless you want a lot of financial damage, and there's already been one lady that was probably much more eloquent than me here before me talking about these will be served to you.
Time has expired. Thank you. That concludes our citizens' comments. We do appreciate everyone coming out to speak with us this evening. And we will move on to our consent agenda. Mr. Narducci, I'm requesting that we pull 6.09, the agenda item on the central kitchen maintenance and repair contracts off of the consent agenda for this evening.
Great.
So, Mr. Narducci.
Madam President, members of the board, consent agenda item 6.01, monetary gifts. We request the approval of the monetary gifts generously donated to Chandler schools totaling $21,165.70. Under 6.02, under donations, we also request approval of items generously donated to Chandler schools totaling $14,800.47. Under item 6.03, the 2021-2022 ASB annual membership dues, we recommend approval for the 2021-2022 ASBA annual membership dues at 0.25% of all budget items except capital outlay, but not more than $10,368 or less than $250,000. I would like to also add on to that, since it was brought up today about ASBA, we don't just look at that policy. It's a group that brings policy to all school districts across the board. But since I can respond to that, since it's on the agenda here, we look at those policies, we Chandlerize them. We also take into account the direct statutes that are provided. And so those statutes will be reflected in the policies that we recommend in the future. We also have item 6.04, which is the 2021-2022 IGA with CUSD and Maricopa County Community College District for dual enrollment courses. The intergovernmental agreement between CUSD and Maricopa County Community College District for dual enrollment courses for the 21-22 school year is presented for approval. Legal counsel has reviewed and signed the agreement as required by law. The course listings exhibit for Chandler High is being finalized with the county. That updated exhibit is pending. Legal counsel has advised of their approval to obtain signatures on the attached IGA. and that while the update for Chandler High exhibit is pending, the board approval of this item authorizes me as the superintendent to take such further action and execute such documents to carry out the intention of this agreement. Recommend approval as well. Under item 6.05, Basha High School's Institute of Cyber Operations and Networking, Career and Technology Education Networking Security Program, Security Pro. Basha High School's Institute of Cyber Operations and Networking will be adding Security Fundamentals and Ethics in IT course that's called CYB 400, beginning this school year 21-22. This Career and Technology course will be for third year of the cyber program. The district recently moved through 2 textbook adoption processes of this course in accordance with ARS 15-721 and CUSD policies IJJ and IJJ-R. The 2 current cyber teachers and the cyber program specialists have reviewed and evaluated all the curriculum submitted by the publishers. The committee is recommending Security Pro online curriculum by Test Out, and Test Out provides an advanced IT simulation environment for students, which is very exciting. It's simulating hardware, software operating systems, and entire network environments where our students can practice IT skills in a realistic environment right in their own classrooms. The price is guaranteed for 2 years at $2,650 per year for a total of $5,167. Licenses will provide access for 50 students per year. In accordance with ARS 15-721, the curriculum was placed on display for the 60-day public viewing period and comment at the Melinda Romero Instructional Resource Center, and that started on April 29th, 2021. There were no comments at that time. Item 6.06, which is also for the Basha High School Institute of Cyber Operations. This is asking that Basha High School's Institute of Cyber Operations and Networking will add the Security Fundamentals and Ethics in IT course. The Career and Technical Education course will be the third year. The district recently moved through a textbook adoption process, as I said prior. These 2 current cyber teachers have viewed and vetted, as I stated before. The committee is recommending Ethics in Information Technology, 6th edition textbook by Cengage, to move forward in the textbook adoption process, including the printed student textbook, the ebook, and the 6-year license and online instructor resources. The cost of the curriculum is $4,620, including shipping and processing, and will be funded through the district textbook budget. And again, in accordance with our ARS 15-721, the material had been vetted for 60 days viewed. There were no public comments on that agenda item either. Item 6.07, approval of International Baccalaureate print and digital resources. Chandler Unified School District has a long tradition of a strong International Baccalaureate program, offering International Baccalaureate courses over the years at several sites, primarily Chandler High School. Resources for IB courses come primarily from 4 publishers, and those are IB Source, International Baccalaureate, Oxford University Press, and Cambridge University Press. The list of the 40 IB courses currently being offered is presented. Approval to purchase print and digital resources for these IB courses from the following publishers is requested, and those are IB Source, International Baccalaureate, Oxford University Press, Cambridge University Press, and Pamoja Education online courses. 6.08 on the consent agenda is curriculum and resources. Chandler Unified School District uses curricula aligned to the Arizona State standards in order to meet the diverse learning needs of students. The primary and supplementary curricular list for all grades and subjects for 2021-22 school year is being presented for approval. These curricula may have been used in prior years or have been approved by the governing board through a request for information or RFI process. Annually, the curricula list is presented to the governing board for approval. Additionally, Chandler Unified School District uses digital resources aligned to the Arizona state standards, which are done by our Arizona Department of Education, in order to meet the various needs of our learners. The list of the website subscriptions, online applications, and software used in the district were being presented for approval for the 21-22 school year, and we recommend approval. I'd also like to speak of that since it was brought up earlier. There was an omission on there, and that we did correct, and we're thankful to a few of our parents that called in and said, what about the deep equity? And that was removed from the list. It was removed back in 2019. So for the public that's here, as well as those that called in and notified us of that, we are appreciative. Special education, we're skipping 6.09, we're going down to 6.10, which is special education day schools. The district is requesting the board approve, but not to exceed the amount of $5,300,000 for all of our off-site day schools approved by the Arizona Department of Education. This request is made in order to be more efficient and assign students in a timelier fashion. The projected expenses for 2020-2021 are currently at $3,951, and that's because some of our billing is delayed. That was our $3 million, I'm sorry, did I say $3,951,000. Special education day school assignments are considered for children with highly specialized needs that cannot reasonably be provided by our district, such as comprehensive medical needs, treatments beyond those available in our schools. Our comprehensive supports for behavior and cognition, supervision, and instruction teaching methods that are required in these programs are beyond what our campus programs can provide. Arizona Revised Statutes 15-213A1 states the school districts are not required to engage in competitive bidding in order to place a pupil in a private day school provision, and that these services, if approved by the Department of Education Division or special education pursuant to that section, section 15-765, subsection D. Recommend the board approve for a not to exceed amount of $5,300,000 for special education day schools on an as-needed basis as determined by the Executive Director of Student Personalized Learning, which is Dr. Kim Marshall. This authorization is for services received between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, with reports provided, of course, to the board for review on a quarterly basis, which we do every year. And the last consent agenda item, and I thought a lot of people put a lot of consent agenda items in here from my first meeting, was human resources. And that's the employment separation compensation and job descriptions. And we're asking those to be approved as listed.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. I just wanted to make a correction on 6.03. You had said or less than $250,000. It's or less than $250 to make that correction. So could I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving
Can I just ask a question really quick?
Yes.
Okay. So on the 6.04 with the Maricopa County Community College District dual enrollment courses, I just have a question about B3 and D. So B3 says basically that it's not a normal high school course that's being offered, but a lot of the courses that are dual. So I was just trying to figure out what they meant by that, because a lot of times it might be, a fourth-year math class or the sign language class that even freshmen can take. That gets dual credit.
I'll give Dr. Gilbert a shot at this because he deals with it more up and close and personal, but I believe those courses do need to be approved by the county and the school district, that those courses are being recognized for dual credit, and the materials that are being utilized are materials that would be utilized in that course if it was similar. So we have to make sure that we're in alignment. Dr. Gilbert?
I'm trying to make sure I understand your question. I'm sorry.
B3 says at a higher level than taught by the school district high school. And a lot of the courses are actually both college level and high school level. For example, the introductory sign language course that even freshmen can take, they can get dual enrollment for that, or some of the math courses?
Well, I think when they're saying that is because we look at what is the college offering, and the college will say that the course that they have that they're offering may be higher than the level of the high school course. But when we also look at the courses, there are things that we require in the course that they don't. And so we make sure that it encompasses what we teach and exactly what they're teaching at the same time.
Okay. It just is confusing because it definitely makes it sound like it needs to be at a higher level than a high school class, which is counterintuitive.
Which doesn't, but it does have to qualify to meet both standards to get credit both at the high school and.
Right, I
Yeah,
understand,
yeah,
but the
you're correct.
wording on it,
Yeah.
I'm just a
I
little.
can understand that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the focus of it, is to make sure that the requirements that we have, which is much more, even though they may say that it's at a higher level from the college, but there is a quite bit more that we, and as I know you know, require in your class than what is required just from the college.
And then just on D, it said to limit 6 credits per semester, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a few dual students who have more than that. Is that just something that's recommended, but they don't really follow through on that? That was D.
I'd have to look at that in regards to 6 credits, because that would be, for us, 6 creds would be all 6 classes for the whole year, and most students aren't taking 6 total classes, or unless they're talking about
I thought it was
the
college credits, so that'd
the
be
3 credits.
2 each semester. But
I'd
I
have
could be
to-
wrong.
I can
Yeah.
take a look at
Okay.
that.
Okay, thank you.
And they, Ms. Bruner, they are able to take additional, I know from my own daughter's experience, she went the dual credit zone coming through here, and she had a lot more of
Right.
credits than the 6 to go to
So
the.
that's why I was surprised
to
to
the
see it
college
in
level,
here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move on to our action items, and our first one is the approval of truth in taxation increase for fiscal year 2021-2022. I believe that Mrs. Berry is going to present that.
Madam President, members of the board, tonight we're recommending that you approve the truth in taxation. We published the notice on July 1st of 2021 per the Arizona Revised Statutes requirement identified in 15-905 and 15-1461. To recap on the hearing that we had earlier, the adjacent ways is the only tax that the governing board can actually authorize as a tax. It's for 1 year. It's equivalent on a $100,000 home to be $7.63. That's equivalent to 1.2% of the entire tax between our primary and secondary tax. Unfortunately, it doesn't show you what last year's adjacent ways were, which was more than this year's adjacent ways tax. However, you do have to explain the difference between what it could be, which would just be for dropout prevention, which is $102,000, was equivalent to 0.31 cent, and then us actually asking you or the community to pay the $2.5 million for adjacent ways, which will equate to $7.63 per 100,000. So asking for your approval to increase the tax through the truth in taxation notice.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. We did have a hearing on this just prior to the meeting, and do the board have any questions? Yes, Mr. Olive? Yeah, was that a yes?
I was
You do
going to
have
make a
question?
motion.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'd like to move that we approve the truth in taxation tax increases outlined in the attached notice. The notice was published on July 1st, 2021, per Arizona Revised Statute requirements identified in 15-905.1 and 15-1461.01.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions? No? So a roll call vote is required. Mrs. Nye, do you want to do a roll call vote?
Joel Worth,
Yes.
Lindsay Love,
Aye.
Laura Bruner,
Aye.
Jason Olive,
Aye.
Barb Moston.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Our next item is our Governing Board Override Election Pro Statement that is required by law. It is included in our packet. This statement, as I say, is required by law. and will be published in the election pamphlet that goes out to all the voters. And so could we get a motion?
Madam President, I would like to move that we approve the override election pro statement as presented for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, are there any comments or questions on the pro statement? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next one is to consider, and if deemed advisable, adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of tax anticipation notes on behalf of the district. Mrs. Berry.
Madam President, members of the board, tax anticipation notes are used to cover operating deficits created by an uneven property tax collection and state aid receipts. During the first half of each fiscal year, the district incurs expenses, including payroll and insurance trust payments, which can exceed available revenue. When this occurs, the district experiences temporary operating or cash flow deficits. Tax anticipation notes are used to cover these deficits until sufficient property tax and state aid revenue is received by the district. The fiscal impact to the district is dependent upon the amount of tax anticipation notes issued and the interest rate at the time of issuance. Therefore, it is recommended that the board adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of tax anticipation notes in an amount not to exceed $35 million.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I would like to move that we adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of tax anticipation notes in the amount not to exceed $35 million.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mrs. Berry?
Just a statement. Again, all the treasurer's buying all these TANs, right? Okay.
And I do have a question. This is kind of, so if the state had not delayed during the Great Recession in order to balance their budget and delayed the last quarter of the fiscal year payments until the first quarter of the next fiscal year, would we need as much tax anticipation notes for the district?
Madam President, great point. No, we would not. We might need a small amount because we do pay for our health insurance up front, but we don't collect our property taxes until October, November, and then again in April. However, the state aid delay definitely makes an impact on us, and that's why we have to sell a larger amount of the TANs in the beginning of the year.
So basically, all the individual districts are still paying for the way the state got around the prohibition of a budget deficit in Arizona during the Great Recession. We're still paying for that 13 years later.
We are, and through registered warrants. So a lot of districts do registered warrants, and they don't sell the tax anticipation notes. We do the tax anticipation notes, and then we pay those off at the end of the fiscal year, and sometimes have to access their line of credit through the county at the very end. But a lot of us are utilizing both services or one service.
Do we have any idea when they are finally going to get the payments back into the appropriate fiscal year?
There is a small amount each year. I want to say it was 30 million or approximately, I might be off a few million, that they've paid down towards the, I think, 900 million that are outstanding, but it's a small amount each year.
Almost $1 billion.
It was almost $1 billion, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All those in favor of adopting the resolution to authorize the sale of tax anticipation notes in an amount not to exceed $35 million, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Mrs. Berry, the next is yours, approval of the 2021 to 2022 budget.
Madam President, members of the board, in accordance with the Arizona Revised Statute 15-905, 15-962, 15-1103, and 15-107, the district has advertised the preliminary budget and is requiring the board, after the public hearing, to adopt the budget.
Thank you. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I move that we adopt the budget as presented.
I'll second.
Are there any more questions? I know we had a study session on this, and
I just wanted to say thank you for all your work on the multiple revisions and all the work you've done this year. It seems like I don't know, but it seems like it's a lot more than usual. Was it a lot more work for you this year?
You know, I have a great staff, and I should have thanked them earlier. Heather Caviar and Lauren Randall have done a fantastic job, and Ben Frost, who always helps pull everything together, too. All three of them have done a fantastic job. Great staff behind us, and we all work really well together, so really blessed to have a great team, but it's been a busy summer. But thank you.
Yes, we do appreciate. Thank you, Mrs. Bruner, for mentioning that. I know I called over to the business office today, and they were all still busy working on things and really putting a lot of time and effort into the budget. It is so complex, and there is just so much and it is so involved. And when the state ends up changing all the the forms and things, I'm sure that it kind of creates headaches for all business managers across the state for the school districts. So we do really appreciate all your staff and your efforts to make sure that we are in compliance with all the laws and forms that we have to have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. They're a great staff. Thank you.
I had another question. So we're going to be back in maybe a month to reapprove it after the state redoes their paperwork, right?
Yes, we will get new forms. We heard tomorrow. There's only a few changes you'll see. The base support level is slightly changed. You know, we estimated the base level support. The special ed changes, you will see those, and then you'll see information about gap funding. So those are the three main areas that you'll see a change on.
All right.
Their work is never done. So, okay, all those in favor of adopting the 21-22 budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. And our last action item for the evening is the purchase of school buses for the 21-22 school year. Mrs. Berry.
Madam President, members of the board, last action item for me tonight. I have another information item, but last action item. After the annual review of the district's transportation fleet, the administration is recommending the purchase of 28 additional buses to help meet the growing needs of our community and student population. A rubric was used to determine routes for the upcoming year, along with the number of working fleet and spares that will be available to accomplish the tasks of safely transporting over 13,000 students every day. After analyzing the age, the mileage, the usage, the repairs, the replacement costs of our general education buses, it was determined that an additional 28 84-passenger buses are needed. The new fleet will replace buses with repair costs exceeding their total value and accommodating the rise in the number of student routes. The replaced buses will either be sold, used as spares, or will be parceled out for parts to be used with the current operating fleet. All vehicles will be purchased through the Mojave Educational Service Contract while complying with all applicable procurement rules and were selected based on price, inventory, and life cycle costs. So there's 28 Bluebird 84-passenger buses. Their costs are $182,000 approximately. The total is $5,113,308.54. They're used for general education. If you were our last purchase, we purchased a number of special education buses, so now we're purchasing regular ed. Replacing existing buses where the repair costs exceed the value of the buses. So it's recommending approval to purchase 28 vehicles for the total of $5,113,308.54, utilizing Mojave Contract 18F-CSBS-0904 from Canyon State Bus Sales.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I'd like to move that we approve the purchase of 28 vehicles for a total of $5,113,308.54.
So moved.
Are you
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions?
I just had one question. If there was a little bit more that you could explain about the cycle, like what kind of percentage do we usually need each year? And I don't know if that's you or Mr. Fletcher to explain that a little bit more. Like how do we figure that out?
Sure. So currently we have 279 buses total between regular education and special education. Now, a number of those, 32 of them, are just for parts. We keep them and we haven't actually traded them in because we use those for parts, so they're not operable. There will be a number that we bring back to you that we're trading in. But over a decade ago, we bought 47 international buses that have caused us a lot of issues. And so we will be trading a number of those buses in because by the time we add up the cost of repairing them and continually replacing replacing engines and air conditioning systems and issues that we have, it far outweighs the cost of replacing that. Now, with that, I mean, we would love to replace a bus every 10 years. That doesn't necessarily happen. We replace a bus every 15 to 20 years, but some of our older buses are better than some of those internationals that we only bought a little over a decade ago. So sometimes the age doesn't necessarily matter. That's why we take it into a rubric and look and see how old it is, what are the repair costs, what are we consistently doing. Part of the new buses are going to be on some of our fill trips. We'll put them on trips so that we make sure that we don't break down. The one thing you don't want is in the middle of Phoenix to have a Chandler Unified School District broken down, right? It's a bad image, not good advertisement. So we'll make sure that those are on our trips. The other thing is we're opening a new high school, as you know. That requires more routes and our elementary that we added, and Rice is continuing to grow. So is our gifted academy, our second gifted academy. So we have additional routes. Special education is continuing to grow. We are a district that has great services to our special education population, and people are choosing our district. So there's a number we keep increasing. We were able to take care of the special education needs the last purchase. Now we really need to replace our regular ed. So a number of factors go into that replacement schedule. We're really fortunate that we have bond dollars and that our voters have approved that so that we have air-conditioned buses. Not do they always work because they're just like any vehicle, but for the most part, we have a pretty healthy fleet. Dave Thill is our Director of Transportation and does a great job maintaining the buses, but we want to have it extra because it's extremely hot right now. So sometimes air conditioning doesn't work. We need to be able to get a spare back out, so that's why we have spares. But again, there's just more of a need as we continue to have more schools, more services for special education overall that take additional staff, things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question is, we're ordering 28 buses now. Approximately how long will it take for them to come in?
So it takes over 6 months, typically up to a year, and they've been delayed, obviously, due to COVID. So I believe we should receive them at the end of the fiscal year.
Wow, okay. And approximately how many years apart do we buy groups of buses? I think it seems to be every 2 or 3 years.
We try to bring it to you every year. Sometimes it might be 18 months, but we try to bring it to you every single year. And since we've passed our bonds, both in 2015 and then in 2019, since the voters have approved that, we've made it pretty consistent. We've been replacing buses every year.
Okay.
I've been here, this will be my 9th year. I brought it to you almost every single year.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions about the buses? Okay, all those in favor of purchasing the 28 general education 2022 Bluebird buses, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We now move on to our information items, our student activity, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports. Mrs. Berry, it is your show tonight.
Last one, I promise. All right, the student activities, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports for the months ending July 20th through June 21st are provided for review. Melissa Branting and her team do a great job of pulling these together. They're finishing all of the reports for last year, and they're doing their last journal entries, so you'll still see the final numbers for this report, and then as we approve the annual financial report, they'll be finalized, but they're getting really close to closing all of these out.
Okay, I still noticed that there were some negatives in there that looks like they need to be looked at. And,
they do.
And all that, so.
And a lot of those that you have to get with the teacher, you have to, if it's a student activity, you have to get minutes that are approved, and now that we have school back and going, we can get some of that finalized. So they'll be all cleaned up before the annual financial report.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for those accounts? And now, Mr. Fletcher, it's your turn for the fourth quarter technology report.
Madam President, members of the board, the fourth quarter technology report is presented for your information.
Thank you. Looks like we, as I was looking through it, we had allocated a bit more than what we actually spent and had some remaining left over from the fourth quarter. Is that correct?
I will rely on the report
Okay.
that Mr. Larson and the purchasing department put together. They track all of the expenditures, so I would say yes, that is correct.
Or do we think that there might be some additional encumbrances that
There could be some encumbrances coming in July and August, since we
Okay.
can pay till the end of August, but I'd say we're going to come in under this year.
Okay, Thank you.
If you recall, we brought a lot of purchases to you during the year.
Yes, you
rather than
did.
add it to the technology cap.
Okay, great.
I just have one quick question.
Yes,
So
Mrs.
the
Bruner.
ACP high school, I see there's about 100,000 there. Are they still bringing some of the technology from the old building over?
We left the majority of the technology at the Erie campus.
Then is Oakland's old stuff going somewhere?
Oakland's technology, some of it will move to Erie, but most of it will stay at Oakland till we determine what the future of the Oakland campus is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, we will move to our board agenda roadmap. This has definitely been populated with a lot of dates and board meetings since we saw it last. Our next meeting will be August 11th. And we'll be looking at our world-class employees and a few other things here. Are there any questions on the roadmap?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Narducci, tonight is your first night of making superintendent comments. We appreciate you being here, your first meeting, so.
Mr. Worth said to be short. I don't know. Mr. Worth said to be short. I don't know if there's ever a time to be short, especially as we get ready for school. Madam President, members of the board, after what has been undoubtedly the most difficult year in education for children, for parents and teachers and staff, we're excited to start the school year. It's just around the corner, 1 week from today. We circled the date of July 21st going into the summer, and we are prepared for the return of over 44,000 students and growing. Our departments have worked diligently in preparation. Our Human Resources Department is to be recognized. They've hired over 170 highly qualified teachers, along with an equal number of support staff who work directly to support our schools and our school sites. Our Transportation Department has configured bus routes and bus stop locations for the district and reconfigured for our newest campus that will be opening up, our Arizona College Prep High School, which takes a lot of work in making sure that all of that works correctly. In addition, I think most of our staff agree that the first day of school is one of our most anticipated and exhilarating day as we as educators do what we do best, and that's create pathways for our students' academic and future success. We want our parents to know all children can enjoy free meals at our schools at no cost to the families. The USDA has approved free meals for all students for the entire 21-22 school year. This means all students can receive up to one breakfast or one free lunch item at each of our schools daily. Students do not need to apply or sign up to receive meals at no cost this year. They simply come through the line in the cafe and grab at a grab-and-go location and select a reimbursable meal. Also, while I'm on that topic of food and nutrition, our CUSD Food and Nutrition Department, run by Aramark and under the direction of Jenny Bracamonte, our director, was recognized nationally for its convenience retail concept in the K-12 arena. It's called Provisions on Demand. Our high schools know them as pods. We brought a college type of program like you would see in a student union to our high school students, and the program is pretty popular with the students. There were 1,000 nominations done nationally. They only awarded 10, and CUSD's nomination was 1 in 10 awarded nationally. We're also really proud of all of our counseling department as they get ready to work with students who are coming back. As many of our students haven't been in school for over a year. One recognition that our counseling department at Castile High School earned is the highest recognition available by being named a RAMP school, an acronym for the recognized ASCA model program. It indicates the counseling department is rooted in data to create informed practices and directly respond to students' needs. Principal Jason Phillips is very proud of this effort, and he's celebrating with his team the accomplishments at the conference, and that's being held this week. Personally, I want to say to our community as well as our governing board and our staff how blessed and humble I am to serve Chandler Unified School District as the interim superintendent. for what I know is one of the best school districts in the nation. It's an honor to serve our students, staff, and community and build upon the success of our past leaders. As we move forward, we will focus our energy, time, and efforts on providing a personalized, student-centered learning environment for our students. Also, to create a robust and rigorous learning experiences that prepare students for an increasingly technology-driven workforce and world. We have to prepare our students for the future. Engage in research-based, high-yield instructional strategies developed by caring and qualified teachers in a nurturing environment. Also, learning that taps into the passions of and interests of our students, our student learners, for deep engagement and application of academic skills and standards. And of course, to provide opportunities that address unfinished learning for all of our students. That's going to be a big goal as we come back. Unfinished learning looks differently for all of our students, our most advanced students or our students that have gaps in learning. To our families, I want to thank you for allowing us the opportunity to work with your students. Those of you who are new to CUSD, I want to welcome you to our district. We have a rich tradition of over 100 years of excellence in serving CUSD students. Together, I want to remind everyone, we are CUSD, and CUSD will move forward with that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Do any of our board members have any comments this evening?
I do.
Yes, Mr. Worth.
I having worked in public education and being an elected board member, we by law are required to comply with the statutes, Arizona revised statutes. And I'm really concerned, and we have a large teacher shortage, very large. And now we're threatening those teachers with fines if they happen to misinterpret the law. This is not good law. This is not in the best interest of us as parents, because you want a certified teacher in your classroom. And right now, I think statewide, there's about a 4,000 teacher shortage. And I think fining the teachers doesn't change things. They're required by law to follow those laws anyway, and a fine is unnecessary, and it's a shame.
Are there any other board comments? Mrs. Bruner?
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome all the new staff this year. It was great to come to the new teacher event last week, and thank you to everyone who organized the training for them and coordinated all that for quite a few new folks that are coming to the district. And I also wanted to thank the staff at Shumway and San Marcos for communicating with me today, and it's just wonderful to see their excitement about coming back, after they're rejuvenated over the summer. And again, to all the teachers and paraprofessionals and support staff, just thank you for all that you do. And we really appreciate your excitement and your passion for kids.
Thank you, Mrs. Brenner. Anyone else? Well, thank you for coming this evening. I do appreciate you coming out and speaking with us, and we will see you on August 11th. Good night. Meeting is adjourned.